So as a review of what we did in class, I'm going to start over, and this is the raw data that you're going to be working with, and ultimately we're going to end up with something that looks like this. When you come into Drive, you'll see something that looks like this. We go to Create, come down to Spreadsheet. Your name goes into A2. Put your name, not my name. We're going to title it Expenses, like so. We have our mileage. I'm going to move this down just one block, like so. And we have January and February and March. I was putting the value for mileage allowance which is 21 cents a mile, right? Like so. So the data that goes in. Also, this might help if you're using a windowed environment like I'm using right now. If you open up a separate window in your web browser, put the assignment off to the left. Now you're working with Google Docs, so we'll move that over. Then in my spreadsheet, I've got a view on the left, and I can take the data. I can copy and paste. If I find it faster actually to just type it in, 125. The mileage cost we're going to calculate, so we have 55, 220, 125, and 120. Sometimes you might find it easier to just type it in rather than trying to go through the copy and paste. So we have 200, 250, 78, 440, 175, and 140. And then for March, we have 300, 300, 98, 330, 225, and 160. The quarter one total, we did have that over there as well. And remember, that was a sum of everything on this row for January, February, and March. So you type in equal sum, left paren, and then you get the range. Put the range in. Once you have that value, you can copy, select the whole row that you want, or the cells that you want to copy into, and you can paste it. To do the calculation for the mileage, remember, we want the mileage itself times the mileage allowance. But remember, because it is a relative reference, we want to put the dollar signs in front of D and 3. So now it's absolutely D3. We copy that, we paste it, and we paste it. Notice over here the total also went up as well. Okay. So we next need to create data for April, May, and June by using a formula to add 20 to the values as review. Let's copy all of these values here. Well, no, actually, create data for April, May, and June. Why don't we put April, May, and June. Here to the left. And then we're going to just add 20 to January, February, and March. So notice what I did. I hit equals. I can use the arrow keys to arrow over to the field that I want. I'm going to add 20 to it, and so it put B5 plus 20. If I copy that now into all of the April fields, and if I copy that formula into the May fields and the June fields, because they are relative references, they are doing a one-to-one mapping of the January, February, March data over to the April, May, and June data. I can also, I could also copy the values here for quarter 1, move it over for quarter 2, call it quarter 2, and now I have the data. Okay, so one of the other parts of this assignment was to take all of this data, April, May, June, and the quarter as well, and we need to move that down below just so it's visible. I'm going to move it to cell B14. I also need the labels, so I'm going to, by the way, if you do something and mess up, you can always undo. Go to Edit and Undo. You can do an undo up here as well if you're on a Mac. So we copy and we paste that. I'm going to undo that because I need to go right below there. All right, so now we have the mileage, gas, mileage cost. I want to set the format of these values to bold. Like so. One other part of this assignment was to do an average. Have an average column. Remember, there's an average function. So I'm going to put in average, and I want to average up January, February, and March. I'm going to copy that, and we're going to paste the averages in. So for the formatting, on the top, it asks you to make it bold and change the background color. I'm going to change the fill color to a light gray, like so. We're also going to format the header as well, and we'll make it a light gray. And then we'll do the same here. So it's nicely formatted. We also need a total field, or a total row here. So I put in total. As well. And to get a total, we use sum. We want to sum up all the costs. So we don't include the mileage there because that's not really a cost. So there's the sum. For the formatting, the fill color, we use it's kind of an off yellow here. Try that. And I'm going to select this set of data here. Select it. We want to copy it. I'm using the Control-C, or actually Apple-C, to copy and paste. And I use also Control-V or Apple-V if you're on an Apple. Okay, so now we have the data listed as so for the last part, which is to do the chart, we need to insert a pie chart. So I'm going to insert, I'm going to go to chart. The type of chart that I want will be a pie chart. I want a two-dimensional pie chart. The start, selecting the start tab, I'm going to need a range. The range for my pie chart for January expenses will be including the labels, which is then going to become my legend. If I select A6 through B11, like so, click OK, I end up with a nice looking chart. Under Customize, you can set the chart title right here, which would be January Expenses. Here's my chart. To move it, you get it to where you at least get a little hand here like this, right? Move it over. If you have that hand icon, then you can move it. So, like so. And that is then the January expenses complete with the legend for our expenses. That's if you have a spreadsheet then that looks something similar to this, then we want to publish it. So we go to File, Publish to Web. If you hadn't published before, like if it comes up and it looks like this, you just click on the Start Publishing button. Here's the link that you have to publish, and this is what you're going to be turning in. However, if one tool that you might find useful is another tool from Google. It's called goo.gl, and it lets you paste in a long URL, you shorten it up, and you end up with a, it's very similar to something like bit.ly, which will take a very long URL and turn it into a URL that is a little more manageable, like so. Turn that in the Edit My Submission button that you can't really see it on my view, but there will be a URL down here, some similar, or a link down here that will say Edit My Submission. Submit that link, and you are done with this assignment. Again, you need to have it looking very similar to this before you publish it. Thanks.